Welcome back to Ms. Shortcut, the channel where we travel through time to understand the world, one country at a time. Have you ever wondered how a once-collapsing empire turned into a modern-day powerhouse? How did Türkiye, formerly known as Turkey, rise from the ashes of the Ottoman Empire to become a key player in global politics, economics, and military alliances? Let's take a shortcut through a century of transformation, struggle, and resilience, and discover the powerful journey of Türkiye. The Fall of an Empire and Birth of a Republic 1923. In the aftermath of World War I, the Ottomans, once a mighty force that ruled 3 continents, was on its last breath. The empire's defeat led to the Treaty of Sèvres, carving up Ottoman lands and threatening national sovereignty. What had the Ottomans missed? To keep up with the times and maintain their admirable power, they had to conquer Constantinople. There is one simple answer: the modern sciences and literacy. But in 1923, under the leadership of Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, a revolutionary transformation began. With the Treaty of Lausanne, the modern Republic of Türkiye was officially born. The capital was moved from Istanbul to Ankara, signaling a break from imperial rule and a move toward a new, secular, and modern identity. The Ankara locates in heart of Anatolia and safer than Istanbul geographically. Atatürk's reforms, building a modern nation. Atatürk didn't just lead a military victory, he led a cultural revolution. He abolished the Sultanate and Caliphate, replaced Islamic courts with secular ones, and introduced civil law, Western dress, Latin alphabet, and women's suffrage, far ahead of many Western countries in 1934. Education became a national priority, and industrialization programs aimed to build an independent economy. His vision? A sovereign, modern nation that stood on its own feet. Atatürk opened more than 50 big factories all across the country, and he said that each factory is an economic castle of society. One of the biggest challenges is that the country doesn't have enough private capital and educated people. Those ones are indispensable for economic development. But modernization wasn't without tension. Traditionalists resisted these sweeping reforms, and the seeds of future political divisions were quietly planted. From single-party to multi-party politics. For over 2 decades, Türkiye was governed by a single party, Atatürk's Republican People's Party. But in 1950, democracy took a major leap forward when the Democrat Party won a national election. There was no enough social knowledge, SCO, unions etc. for empower the multi-party system. The established multi-party system couldn't cover the society, rather landowners, crowded families dominated the politics, rather ordinary citizens' representatives. The Democrat Party brought economic liberalization and a closer relationship with the United States. But tensions between civilian governments and the military began to emerge, a pattern that would haunt Türkiye for decades. Economic rises and crises. Türkiye's economy experienced waves of growth followed by painful contractions. During the 1980s, under Turgut Özal, Türkiye embraced a free market economy, boosting exports and infrastructure. Yet, hyperinflation, corruption, and mismanagement led to repeated crises. The 2001 financial crash was so severe that people lost life savings overnight. It also triggered sweeping reforms under pressure from the IMF, laying the groundwork for economic stabilization. Military coups and political instability. Türkiye's democracy has been interrupted multiple times by military coups. The armed forces, viewing themselves as guardians of Atatürk's secularism, staged coups in 1960, 1971, 1980, and issued a postmodern ultimatum in 1997. These interventions ousted governments, dissolved parliaments, and even led to executions. While the military claimed to protect democracy, their actions often stalled democratic maturity and deepened societal divides. The EU membership journey, a dream delayed? In the early 2000s, Türkiye pushed hard for EU membership. Reforms were made, expanding freedom of speech, improving minority rights, and aligning with EU law. Hopes were high. But over time, the process slowed. EU skepticism, concerns over human rights, and disputes like Cyprus blocked progress. Many Turks began to feel rejected, and the EU dream gradually faded from public enthusiasm. Still, Turkey remains a candidate country, though with little movement forward in recent years. Erdoğan uses the refugee card with the EU to stabilize relations. Turkey has hosted more than 3 million Syrians for over 12 years following the Syrian civil war. The Erdoğan Era, long rule and transformation. No modern story of Turkey is complete without Recep Tayyip Erdoğan. Rising from humble beginnings, Erdoğan's AK party won elections in 2002, promising stability, economic growth, and Islamic values within democracy. Under Erdoğan, inflation dropped. Foreign investment surged. Megaprojects like airports, bridges, and high-speed rails were built. But over time, critics accused Erdoğan of increasing authoritarianism, weakening judicial independence, and centralizing power, especially after the 2016 coup attempt, which led to purges and emergency rule. In 2017, Turkey shifted from a parliamentary to a presidential system, granting Erdoğan sweeping new powers. He's now one of the longest-serving leaders in Turkey's history. NATO, geopolitics and regional ambition. Turkey joined NATO in 1952, becoming a crucial bridge between East and West during the Cold War. Its strategic location, bordering Europe, the Middle East, and the Caucasus, gives it immense geopolitical weight. In recent years, Turkey acted independently in Syria and Libya. Built a powerful drone industry, like the famous Bayraktar TB2. Maintained ties with Russia while being a NATO member. This complex diplomacy often frustrates the West, but it showcases Turkey's assertive foreign policy and vision of becoming a regional power in its own right. From Turkey to Turkey, a name and identity. In 2022, Turkey made an official request to the United Nations and international institutions. From now on, use the country's name in its native form, Turkey. Why? To distance itself from the bird, Turkey, and from negative stereotypes in Western media. It was also a move to promote national pride and self-representation. Today, while global media still uses Turkey for convenience, official platforms and Turkish citizens increasingly use Turkey, asserting their identity on the world stage. Where does Turkey go from here? Turkey's story is far from over. It is a nation defined by contrasts, East and West, tradition and innovation, secularism and religion, democracy and authority. From the ruins of an empire, it has built a republic that survived wars, coups, crises, and political storms. It remains a country with huge potential, strong institutions, and a people that have endured and overcome immense challenges. Will Turkey embrace deeper democracy and reclaim the EU dream? Or chart a new path of independence and regional dominance? Whatever the answer, one thing is certain. Turkey's journey is not just history, it's a masterclass in transformation. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this shortcut through Turkey's history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments. Where do you think Turkey is headed next?